everybody, Brandon Jones here. I'm joined by Mr. Kyle Bossman.
Love trailers.
Mr. Daniel Bloodworth.
Hey, welcome back.
None of us are French. None of us are in Paris right now.
Oh,
but there's lots of exciting things happening in Paris. One of them is the announcement of David Cage's next game called Detroit Become Human.
Oh, wait, that's just Detroit, right?
No, it's Detroit Become Human.
Oh, that's weird.
It said the words be underneath Detroit. It said Become Human. I don't know if that's a part of the
I thought that was just
title.
a tagline, but...
No, it's like Beyond Two Souls.
An interesting announcement, kind of a divisive trailer, something that a lot of people are excited about. I actually have a lot of issues with this trailer. I'm excited about the game. I actually was really into the first time that we saw Kara, and that first trailer. I remember, I think we gave that trailer of the year that year, and a lot of people did not think that was the best trailer of that year.
Myself included!
And I don't think this is the best trailer of this year, so let's get into it.
Detroit. This is where it all began.
What you don't see in this trailer is David Cage spelling the whole thing out for you. It really took a lot of time saying that, like, you remember that trailer that we made before? Mm-hmm. Well, we really, thought, what would it be like, if you were her, what next? What was the next chapter of her life? Which is an interesting, actually, before we get into, like, the specifics of the game, is an interesting thing to happen, that, like, he made this trailer, because he and his team are kind of weird in that they, like, will make a video that seems like tons of work has gone into that. They're like, this is just messing around. We're just trying to figure out the engine. You're like, wow, you should just keep going with that concept.
Yeah.
So on one hand,
time they did.
Yeah. So on one hand, it's kind of like, oh, what a weird way to to come up with an idea for a game. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, if you've put that much work in, I'm assuming, does this mean after this we're getting the weird, like, goblin, sorcerer on set
telling jokes? Yeah, that was weird.
Jokes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But who knows? So we see her, we meet Kara, it's the same actress, and clearly the city was not established before. I think one of the surprising things was that it really does focus on a city. I mean, the game is called Detroit, and so I have not lived in Detroit. I don't know if you're looking at the skyline of Detroit, if that, you can kind of see what advancements have been made. I think it definitely is a realistic future, which I appreciate. There's definitely lots of fancy new stuff going up. There's no flying cars. It is still kind of run down. There are still old looking buildings.
Yeah.
It's not like all of Detroit completely got wiped out. Before I hand it off to you, Kyle, I just want to say, and before I get real super nitpicky, my biggest issue is the VO. Way too much talking in this trailer. If you guys are actually into this, if this trailer excites you and you guys have not seen, you guys in this room and people that are listening to this, if you haven't seen Ex Machina, that is basically this done way better. Because it really explores the concept of, what if you just woke up and all of a sudden you had intelligence, and you knew you had intelligence, and you knew you were a robot, but and you'd think you're way smarter than humans, but you still have to figure out what does that mean? Like, what is the value of me discovering, like, who I am and what my purpose is in life? And I could have gotten so much of that just from looking at this world, and yet they really just tell me too much. I mean, it's like, I don't, she's like, I can feel the life coming into me. It's like, of course, what? That doesn't mean anything for you to actually say that out loud. For them to focus so much on facial expression, and from that to be one of his big things that he really wants to, get as close as we possibly can to that one-to-one, where I really feel like I'm watching someone do a performance, but I'm just going to have her say everything because I'm scared that you're not going to get it. I'd get it. If you literally took the last shot of her turning around and facing the camera out, took all the VO out, I think it could totally work as a trailer.
I love that shot of her turning around and looking at the camera. To me, that's proving, like, we see expression in that moment. We see confidence in a video game character, like, speaking, and it's all an engine. I guess it's always impressive to say that at the end of your trailer, but you can't always trust it completely. But anyway, yeah, that a video game character is able to express that, I'm always way into that, and I think that the trailer is worth it leading up to that moment. There's not much left to explore, and, like, I'm a realistic android who might be, like, there's so much sci-fi already in this area. What I like a lot about this in particular are the shots of Detroit, that it opens up with, like, rundown homes. I think is a good place to start before we go into the factory and see her being built, the thing we've already seen before. So I like Detroit. I like incorporating that lifestyle. The other thing I really like a lot is the moment where the other robots, the other androids, start seeing her, and they're like, wait, why is that android walking around like a human? So that moment actually is impactful to me, and I think the other stuff needs to be there to lead up to that. You need to see them standing in line being regular for it to impact you, seeing them standing in line and looking at her. And so I think the trailer itself is paced really well. Everything is revealed in a great, like, arc. I like it.
At the same time, though, it doesn't have as much impact for me. Because like, what is she doing? You know, she's just like, I'm going sightseeing. And you're like, okay, cool. So like, this sightseeing robot game looks rad. You know, you just walk around Detroit and robots look at you like, poof, can't wait. You know, and it's like, so there's this like powerful moment. I will first of all say that like, yeah, showing all of Detroit. I mean, we're seeing a ton of this game, you know, in motion, and that's awesome for you know, a game first being announced. I think it does look great, and I think the best moment in this trailer, the best value that this trailer has, the best thing that this brings to, you know, why do robots dream of electric sheep, AI, you know, all of the explorations that we have done so far in you know, narratives about artificial intelligence, is that transition of them noticing her, which to me would put significance on the actual path that she's taking, which the trailer doesn't otherwise give you. You know, it's like, this is a big moment for those robots noticing her, but Kara's just kind of, she's just walking around, you know, like she doesn't, like, is this the first time that she walked out?
I mean, it
If
feels
so,
like it the
what
way
is
that-
she specifically
yeah.
noticing? She never really kind of points anything out other than you when she like turns around and looks at you. Because when you see the robots on the train and you're like, oh, that's, you know, how demoralizing. They're relegated to, you know, it brings up, you know, all sorts of things with race relations in our country about like separating people in society. But then she's on the train and nobody really cares. Like no humans look at her. So it's like, well, what's stopping those robots from just walking on the, you know, like, you don't have to go back there. You can go wherever you want. Kara is. She you see the little light on her at the side of her head.
No.
She's not hiding herself as a robot.
She is. She only turns it on after she's made her statement. It is. That's a huge deal. That's an indicator when she turns it on. She's like, I don't care now.
It's just kind of vanilla. I mean, I'll let you talk about it, sorry. But it's just kind of like, we never really get into really specifics in this trailer. It's just kind of broad strokes. Just like the script. It's just very generic. You know, what would it be like to be a robot? And it's like, we're so far past that in film and comic books and, you know, and narrative. So, you know, really focus on the good stuff, which is those robots turning around and noticing her. It's like, now it's interesting. And that to me is the only time it really does get interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like you guys said, I definitely like the opening. I like that line that the worlds forge, and I think that makes it, you know, really, it's an interesting place to set this, even though, you know, it's kind of been, again, it's another thing that's been done before in Deus Ex Human Revolution and in other sci-fi and things like that. The building is weird because it's, obviously we've seen that trailer and like, you don't want to dwell too much on that, but at the same time with the music and the cuts, like it feels sort of like, oh yeah, you guys all know this, and so you sort of lose like any of the dramatic weight that had of her, that moment when she woke up that we saw in that first trailer. And it's just sort of like, yeah, you remember this part, let's just skip over this. And
Also, don't specify what happened.
Yeah.
It's just like, she just kind of wakes up and is like, get away from me, robot arms. I'm human. You're like, what? Why you? Why? Because it gives it the air that like, oh, this happens once a week. I mean, Kara's just the robot this month that got screwy.
Oh, no
it's
way,
like, no,
dude.
this is a big deal.
She's the one.
Yeah.
But then she just goes in the city and just walks around.
But no,
You know, it's
I
like,
think-
there's just no immediacy to anything.
No,
It's
but I
just
think
kinda-
that's it. I mean, everything you see here, I mean, it is sort of like a quiet rebellion because she's walking around and she's feeling the rain for the first time and all this stuff, and like it's clear like this is the first time she's experienced the world. And it's interesting to like rewatch it and see like all of these subtle things of like yeah, this temporary parking for your androids. Like your androids are expected to like apparently always be accompanying somebody else or to just stay put, you know, and wait for somebody to pick you up. Like a lot of the stuff that you were saying about like, you know, most people not noticing her, there are some people that do. It's her independence that's sort of like this trigger for what's going to happen with every other android that has just kind of accepted like this is what life is like, and then they see one of them just walking around not helping anybody. Yeah, the trick with David Cage games is you never know how it's going to go. It can be very intriguing and very flawed at the same time.
To me, all of the points that were brought up in this trailer, I think you really have to dig deep to find them, and not in a way that like they were hidden in there. It's just kind of like the actual narrative, the storytelling of this trailer doesn't do it for me. I give this a 7-8. I really was just kind of like, okay, like, man, that world looks amazing. I'm curious to play that character, and I bet there's some really tough decisions she has to make and interesting moments that story sets up. This trailer by itself, I was just whatever, and like I will always agree to disagree on the show, but her turning around at the end, I just think is awful. I really like it. To me, it's just really, it's just like sophomore fourth wall breaking. I am character. Here's what I want, and it's like that's the absolute last thing you should do in a trailer. You should have me guessing all the time, and this trailer doesn't make you guess anything. You know, it's just like here it is. for those of you that possibly didn't get it, here's some more. Here's that on top. And then if you really don't get it, she's going to tell you, hi, here's my name. The story's about robots. You're just like, oh, okay, got it, As opposed to, like, make it, don't end on her on being happy, end on her getting caught, end on her, the robots all converging on her, end on her, a cop noticing her and chasing, it's like, end on, oh, now what? It's like, now what? No, she's totally confident. She felt the rain, loves it. She's going to make friends with robots. There's just not, it's like, there's nowhere to go from here for me. They kind of just wrapped everything up in a neat little bow. For the first time we see it, I just kind of I want the suspense.
I'm giving this an 8-9. I think you're insane if you think this is all wrapped in a neat little bow. She's making a statement to us, the humans, like, hey, I'm here. We're doing this. Like, that's the launch point to me. That's like, she just jumped off the diving board. I think that last moment's good. I think the music I'm not crazy about, and the narration is, she's talking about the smells and everything. It's a little much, but I think it's paced really well. I think it's a good way to reveal your game that no one has seen before. And yeah, I dig it. I dig how it escalates. I think it's a good trailer.
I think I'm going to go with an 8.2. It does a pretty good job of establishing interest, but I do think that it's sort of, as I said, it sort of loses some of the weight, and maybe that is just because she's talking so much. Some of the impact is lessened there. Especially in terms of like the waking up sequence just kind of being fast forwarded through and that kind of thing. It's almost sort of like, hey, remember this? Okay, we're over that. I think it's very preliminary. It's like where does this go from here is probably the big question. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of game is this, and what is going to really be the conflict.
It leaves me where like every David Cage trailer leaves me, like little uncanny valley queasiness. Super curiosity to see like where the story goes, but more than anything, just look at that damn world. Wow, look at that city. I can't wait to explore that city. I can't wait to see more of this game. I just want more things from this trailer, but that's just me. 8.3 is the aggregate score for Detroit. Another David Cage game coming. Curious to see if this last one wasn't perceived that well.
Right. Heavy Rain did really well, but Beyond Two Souls not so much.
So I think people are looking for a return to form for Mr. Cage, and I'm sure we will be getting more trailers, and I'm sure we will be scoring them. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blood.